Great, thank you. So guys, thank you for coming. Today with me are the brightest panelists in that topic that you can think. So we will talk a little bit more about the influence of MiCA on the financial sector as a whole, because everybody is talking, it will change, it will not change. So today will be the perspective of big supplier, of the bank, and the perspective of issuer of the EMT. And I will start from the bank because, you know, everybody is saying, okay, EMT, MiCA, that's, you know, something that will change the banking sector as a whole. And the question to Antonina, from your perspective, from the bank perspective, how do you think, what are the main blockers and main advantages that you see during the implementation of MiCA, and how to use it in the banking sector?
Hi, everybody, and I'm very happy to be here with you. And thank you for this question, because the subject is really very broad as we observe accelerating of blockchain technology and crypto assets to the financial market very quickly. But I think there's one main key point that we seems to forget sometimes while talking about MiCA and regulation. The key point is that this DeFi market was created as a counterpoint to the traditional financial market. So what we are now doing is we are trying to centralize something that was meant to be decentralized by design. And we are trying to regulate something that was created in order to be against the traditional financial market regulation. So for me, this is the root of the main challenges that we are now facing while regulating crypto assets. However, on the other hand, I would be quite optimistic while observing this accelerating of DLT technology. Of course, we need these regulations, because if you want to look for any synergies between DeFi market and traditional financial market, the regulation must be.
Especially the regulation must be, and today we are talking about, of course, the MiCA regulation, but we had some short discussion for your knowledge before our panel that in the United States there is a bill about the stablecoin, the new regulation. So definitely it will have some kind of influence, but maybe from the perspective of Bilan, because the Bilan is preparing right now for the EMT in Europe. How do you think, Robert, will it have influence on you, or how it will be implemented?
Just, Janek, before I move to MiCA, just because everybody knows PKOSI and Binance, I'll introduce in 3 words ourselves. So Bilan is actually 2 things. First of all, we have our own DLT that within DNA has the regulatory compliance. So we tokenize fiat currencies, assets, and on top of that, documents and data. And in that space, we've been always within the regulation. We didn't want to wait for the regulation like MiCA to operate. So we've been minting Polish zlotys, euros, pounds since 2016. First with banks, later on we went for our own licenses. And on document side, we managed to solve the schizophrenia of regulation for, at the one side, you have GDPR, right to be forgotten. On the other side, very promoted in Europe, durable media. After I send something, I should lose the control and ability to change it. So I think we have live clients in that space, big clients that are benefiting from distributed technology. As of MiCA, Genius Act in US, I think what it does, it civilizes the crypto asset world. This means that on the one hand side, you are able, as I said, we were minting Polish zlotys for traditional use cases since on our own license since 2021. So for that sense, we didn't need MiCA to come over. However, to be in place. However, what it actually allows us is to merge something that Binance operates with our stable coins to be issued on the publicly available chains. So Ethereum, BNB, and all others ones as well. And we can do that with all the support and satisfaction of the regulator because the MiCA is in place. So that's the one side. From the companies like ours, it will make our life easier in terms of regulation because we don't need to come up with the solution. Solution is up there. Second one, this opens up a new type of use cases that crypto asset weren't used. So all the enterprise world right now can build DeFi use cases, different use cases for them that are using crypto assets compliant with MiCA that are in line with their corporate strategies as well. So for example, cross-border payments for the large institution. We are working on a project like this between States and Europe as well. We have a partner of that. And there's a very big interest of speeding up this traditional rails. So to sum up, this MiCA Genius X is actually fully regulatory compliant bridge between traditional finance and future finance itself. And in my sense, in that place, it will be 2 + 2 will not get 4 or 3, it will give 5. It will actually increase the size of that market significantly.
And you think that this changes because everybody is saying, okay, about these stable coins and what does it mean in real life? Nobody knows it. So from your perspective, from Billion, from Binance, do you think that, okay, maybe we will not focus in near future on how we are paying, but we will use the stable coins for that because it will be more convenient? How do you think, Ilya?
So from our side, it's definitely something that can bridge the infrastructure because at the moment, the fluctuating market, it's not something that traditional financial companies are okay with on the crypto side. So stable coins might help the emergence of better collaborations between traditional finance and fintech, like blockchain-based fintechs and crypto fintechs as well. In the transaction spectrum, we might see stable coins being used to pay instantly for different products.
In more secure way.
Including the banks. Including the banks might adopt this in the near future, let's say.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd like to add something to this because from my perspective, now in Europe, we are in the very convenient position. We already have technology that enable us to do the payments immediately. In Poland, we've got Blik, which works great very quickly between transactions, almost like peer-to-peer. So the problem is that our convenient position is not a good place for stablecoins. When we look globally, countries like Philippines, Mexico, Nigeria, the stable coins, they're evolving really very quickly because stable coin are banking places which are unbanked. So in Europe, I hope that we'll also go for this. And the one place where I see that the stable coins might help, as you said, it is for the settlements, but not only payments, but also for the settlements of financial, for the securities, simply. Because this is something that we, from the operational point of view, really, we still need few days, even weeks, to transfer securities from country to another country. So from my perspective, this is the point where we should look for some efficiency. Yeah, for the future.
I remember that we talked and that one transaction took you a week to transfer the securities from Poland to another country in Europe.
Yeah, for example, to United States. Once we had transactions between our bank and another very big, one of the biggest institutions in United States, and it took us about 2 weeks because the transfer went through another 3 countries in Europe and the payments and so on. So really, it was something that this is the point for efficiency for us.
Yeah, because everybody is thinking that, okay, trading, for example, is one of the most important things in the crypto sector that we are earning on that. But what we are saying right now is rather that the speed of the transactions and the clearing is the key for adoption of that solutions.
So, Janek, I think we need to slice and dice that problem, right? For the traditional payments, especially within our country, I do agree that there are systems that play work well, right? So in the developed countries, so using cards, Visa is a partner, Blick is a partner. So there are solutions that work well. In that space, honestly, what is used to do that settlement, that payment, users don't care. Whether it's a stable coin would be there or something different, it must work. From that perspective, people don't care. Also, if you do transfer between countries, again, users don't care, but this thing doesn't work. Honestly, I'm very often sending money to UK, as I am between UK and Poland, and on average, it takes me 2 days. I know there are systems that could make it fire, and I'm sending from the top tier bank in UK to the top tier bank in Poland, right? This only area, if I were using stable coins, would be immediate, right? So the one. The biggest problem is actually a bridge between those two worlds, right? So right now, if MiCA is in place, distinguishment about investment in crypto or traditional funds can be resolved, as I would be freely able to move that money in between. So if it's well done, right? So that what stable coins, they are this glue that will build that interoperability or the bridges between the different worlds, which right now, unfortunately, do not yet work. Right, so I was trying to just recently for my company do a stable coin redemption, withdraw, cash out, ramp off, and it took me 2 weeks. So if this is fixed, a market that is growing extremely rapidly, we have Binance as one of the biggest winners of that growth over the few years. That is suddenly, like 5 years ago when we were starting, it was so small that, Antonina, I don't believe you'll be sitting next to a crypto exchange 5 years ago, because that wasn't on the radar itself. Right now, the biggest stable coin, Tether, is a 1/3 of a turnover of the largest bank. That shows how quickly this thing grows from pretty much almost zero or minimal to $100 billion transaction each day.
So it's rather right now a financial market, not part of the financial market, not something what is just interesting, just the innovation that we are thinking how to utilize that kind of services in the financial market.
Yeah, and 5 years ago we were struggling to find providers for us to interact with the financial market, the traditional one in general. But now we see more and more providers doing that and helping us, especially in Europe, which is now regulated and it's easier to operate in this sense. We hope to see this globally in the near future. That will help with cooperation with other entities around the globe. But the trend that I see upcoming maybe in Europe is actually banks removing the providers and operating directly with crypto exchanges, for example.
And from your perspective, from the perspective of Binance, of course, we are saying about the partners, about the bridging, let's say using the technology, and if you could share with us, of course, the knowledge, what is on what right now people are focusing about the blockchain beyond the trading. How you think?
So of course, for us, trade is a big part, but actually you could look at security, at transactions, as we discussed in terms of cross-border transactions on blockchain, and KYC AML. Basically, you could, for example, exchange, according to MiCA, KYC of customers with third-party providers, and so on, for a faster interaction and.
Especially that right now the AML in this sector is I can in my opinion is much higher on a higher level than on the banking sector, on the traditional sector right now. So that's the tricky part, yeah.
Yeah, and we sorted that part first, and in that way we can approach traditional financial institutions better in the future, and we could collaborate more.
Yeah, especially that it's growing very fast growing market. So we'll see what will happen. And Antonia, for you, because the regulation in most of the cases was the main blocker. We know that I worked for the PFSA. I knew that when somebody were coming from the financial sector and saying, we want to do crypto a few years ago, no, you're not allowed because there is no such regulation and bank cannot do that. And from your perspective, would MiCA be a blocker or enabler of change? That the cooperation, for example, of Binance with the banks across the EU will be easier, will help, or will change nothing?
So I will say that the landscape is changing really quickly. For example, about 1 year ago, there was a big crypto conference in London, and there is a big, they said that crypto is dead, long life blockchain. And this time, there was a thinking that the public institutions, financial institutions, they won't go to the public blockchain, they will rather build the private blockchains. Now, after 1 year, I've heard already from the CEO of the Polish institutions that they understand that they have to cooperate with public blockchains. So that means also that we have to regulate it further. MiCA gives us some regulation box, but it is really at the basic level. We still need other regulation for DeFi market. But as I said at the beginning, we need it for the synergy with traditional financial market. So I understand that from this perspective of crypto enterprises that were created against this framework of traditional financial market. MiCA is something that is really unacceptable. However, from my perspective as a brokerage, it is really minimum of framework that we need.
Yeah.
Can I comment? I know that the regulations are required in multiple spaces. At the same time, we need to be careful not to over-regulate it. One of the enablers of a growing of the crypto asset market is it was a minimal level of regulation. That was one of the things that it allowed people to, funny enough, to trust that market, that government does not touch it and does not destroy it. So we need to be careful with over-regulating that market, because just if Europe does it, then entire business will go to the places where it is possible. We have a global players already that can support you, and there's regulation like this. My company is an example that blockchain and regulations, even the older ones, can work together. So it's not if to do something against the regulations. I understand that Bitcoin especially was anti-regulatory, especially on the beginning. Majority of the people that are on that market just want to trade safely and easily. And so we need to find that right balance, not to over-regulate that bit.
I think crypto world brings agility to financial market, and this collaboration between crypto world and the traditional financial market will bring agility to the fintech sector as a whole.
Yeah, because everybody is saying that regulation will help or will not, will kill the business over if that will be over-regulated. And you think because what we are trying to say that, okay, we need to be prepared to serve that services to normal, regular client of the financial sector. And you think that from the perspective of the financial sector, there will be more need for example, for any tools, any support, any knowledge, how to make it properly. How do you feel, Ilya, from your perspective? Because you have the biggest knowledge in this.
I think traditional financial institutions are already looking at their products and thinking, where can we integrate blockchain, for sure. Now, the next step would be where we could integrate crypto and how. As I said, there are now all sorts of intermediaries between us, for example, and traditional finance. But MiCA, I think, will facilitate removing those intermediaries, and a stronger collaboration between banks and exchanges could happen.
Because it's rather building the trust between the players, not with the users of the solutions. Because the people are trusting the financial sector, they are trusting more and more the cryptocurrency exchanges.
Let's not forget that MiCA is bringing actually a lot of protection for the user as well, and that's the most important part of this regulation actually. But it's also fostering the relationship building between traditional and crypto.
Yeah. And Robert, the biggest lessons learned from the cooperation. So you have the experience from creating crypto that was not treated as a crypto from 2016 in Poland, yes? You had the blockchain technology underneath. You use it for the payment services. And what were the biggest advantages for you during the start of the business? What you learned from the cooperation with the business and with the authorities?
First of all, just whenever you are trying to go through the regulatory process, and I can assure everybody that our regulatory process did not differ from the traditional regulatory process of any payment institution or even a bank. We are the only e-money license holder in Poland, and we had to go through AML procedures, risks, and so on. We are talking about that much of a paper to be delivered to the KNF. I learned that we can agree of an operating model as long as we have a dialogue with the regulator. So it's no, regulator is not an enemy. There are people working on the other side. So if we have that dialogue, quite a lot of things can be solved. My biggest negative lessons learned is that me being over regulatory friendly, I would say, cut off the big opportunity for us to build that stablecoin bridge. So although I have a blockchain extremely scalable and that is the fact that I did not touch crypto assets at that point made my business a very difficult one, and I was forced to compete with the players that were had much more resources like Blick, like, I don't know, Cars, or any other payment schemes, because that was the place that I was forced in by regulations. Right now with MiCA, that barrier is disappearing. So again, we have a dialogue with our regulator, which is considered to be very conservative in Europe. And I'm sure that we will manage to very soon issue our stable coins with the full approval of our regulator.
Okay, and the last question for you all, I would like to have the answer because our time is coming to the end. From your perspective, from the business perspective, from the bank perspective, what do you think we need to, let's say, better implement what we have due to blockchain, the tools and the services that it creates? What we need to make Europe or our region place where it will be implemented, like you, Antonina, told about in Nigeria, that they have level playing field, they have nothing, no infrastructure. But in our situation, how do you think? What is needed to better implement?
I'll answer very shortly.
Okay.
More risk, investors with the risk appetite to bet on that, because the business is there. Just the limitation of a risk, non-risk averse capital is missing. That was always a challenge for my company. We survived for 10 years, but we never have enough of funds to scale up.
From business perspective, I will say that technology is already quite well, as you said, but we need also, so we are looking at the pilot settlements and the pilot project conducted by, for example, European central banks and other national central banks in Europe and around the world. But we need, in Europe, we need first real cases for this development. So this is first thing. And from the client's perspective, I will say education, which is very important, also from our as a bank perspective, because we made a lot of survey and it seems that our clients want us to provide them with crypto assets. However, the problem is that the clients didn't recognize the difference between securities under MiFID directive and crypto assets under MiCA. So the education here is very important because still it's like about 99% of crypto assets is a high risky speculative active. So this is very important also for the future.
I come from a startup environment before Binance, and I think first of all we need to look at how we build products that are friendlier, and seemingly the difference between the traditional app and the crypto app should be almost zero for the users to have better access and understandability of the systems and how they use it. Now, also education, that's something that I would say it's very important because we had many users in Romania, for example, which think that crypto is maybe just like betting, you know, or something like that. That's why there are free tools out there that people can learn from. We have Crypto School at Binance. That's just free tool to learn about crypto, and you actually get rewards in stablecoin at the end after each course that you're doing. But at the same time, we're collaborating with authorities, with institutions to teach them about how crypto works and what tools are out there for them to maybe implement in the future.
Okay, so to sum up, because we are almost run out of time, so what we heard today is that probably the regulation will not stop, maybe not help implementation of the blockchain in the financial sector. I think so. We can agree on that. The real business cases that need to be created for the clients to use these tools, because they are aware of, let's say, how good they are, and they are trusting in that services. And I think that what is one of the most important, that we need to educate people, but not only the customers of those services, but also people that are deciding whether to implement something or why we need to pay for any new tool, for example, for supervision, for making the payments easier, because this is the case, like Antonina told about the clearing, the situation with in the investment company, that it takes 2 weeks, not a day, like on the payment sector in Europe. So I think that these are the most important, let's say, topics that are coming from our discussion. And I would like to say thank you for everybody, and thank you for hosting us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you could just stand here.